Spring savings are in full bloom right now at Lowe's, where you'll find great deals on everything you need to get your home in shape for the season. So hurry into your neighborhood store today to save big on all of your spring home improvement needs, like 15% off all style selections laminate flooring. Make your home shine all season long with great brands at great prices right now at Lowe's. Valid 2/24 through 2/29 while supplies last. Discount taken at time of purchase. See associate for details. Available by special order express in some locations. Selection may vary by location. See store for details and exclusions. U.S. only.
Blog Talk Radio.
Live from Fort Bragg's backyard, this is the show that put the 110 Nation on the map. There is only one nation, the 110 Nation, and you're listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show, covering each and every sport across the board. There is no sport too large or too little. It's time to talk the talk. Here we go. Here's the man, the founder, and your host, Mr. CJ Sports.
I want to welcome everybody to the 110 Nation Sports Show. I'm your host, Mr. CJ Sports. You can follow me at CJ Sports 1. You can follow the 110 Nation at 110 Nation. Check us out on Facebook, my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, the 110 Nation fan page, 110 Nation Sports. Also, check out our blog site, www.the110nationsports.com, and also check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on here at the 110 Nation. Oh, goodness. Friday night. That was kind of interesting Friday nights. To be, I guess, perfectly honest. As I announced earlier in the week that I'll be moving in the 110 studio. Obviously, also will be moving. And so... Being I've only been at this location for a month and a half or so, you already know that I got to pack up and relocate. Not looking forward to it. So got to work on packing this weekend and start moving stuff on Sunday. Possibly get the big stuff done Monday or sometime during the week. But yeah, it's coming to an end here, and tell you what, I'm quite looking forward to, one, not only it coming to an end, but for the fact that I don't like to pack. Stressed how much I didn't want to pack and move the last time, and pretty much did it all myself. And here I go again, moving by myself. So obviously, be moving everything myself once again, but not looking forward to it. And with everything going on, one of those days that, there was just really no headlines that, really caught my attention. And so I'm sitting here as it's getting closer and closer to showtime. And, I've been doing stuff around the place to not only get things cleaned up, but also try to get things lined up for my move. And I had different thoughts of different things throughout the day, and it gave me an opportunity to kind of think. How different either players or different teams get treated differently. Now, prime example is Duke's Grayson Allen, who's been spotted on more than one occasion of intentionally tripping players. The ACC has determined that Grayson Allen's alarming habit of tripping opposing players isn't yet worthy of suspension. The league on Friday issued a reprimand condemning the Duke guard for his involvement in the tripping of Florida State's Xavier Rayson Mays, but did not dole out any of the further punishment. And this is not the first time. Giving Allen the benefit of the doubt the trip was unintentional would be easy if this was his first incident of the season, but he had already had a reputation of chippy plays. In Duke's first meeting with Louisville earlier this month, Allen appeared to stick his leg out and intentionally trip Cardinals forward Ray Spalding as he ran up the floor, resulting in a flagrant foul. And of course, being here in North Carolina, I had to kind of sift through comments and sift through opinions, because being here in North Carolina and having a lot of North Carolina affiliates and friends on social media, of course, you're either going to have Duke fans that get over it, you did nothing wrong, they're looking for this, and blah, blah, blah. Then, of course, you got a lot of UNC fans that, if this would have been a UNC player, blah, 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 or they got to cheat to win, or they got to be dirty. And so I take those comments and kind of brush them to the side for a minute. And it does amaze me. Not only this, he was also involved in the mini skirmish in Duke's second meeting with Louisville last Saturday afternoon. He exchanged blows with Jalen Johnson in the scrum for a loose ball, caught an elbow in the face, and came away with a bloody lip in the process. My opinion, my thoughts, past experience from watching players violate the rules of the game, violate the NCAA, violate their particular college's policies, I have observed one of two things. I have observed that if you play football in the SEC, you're going to not get. You're going to be able to do what you want, such as pay to play. Ask Cam Newton. You can go to get paid for autograph sessions. Ask Johnny Manziel. You're going to get away with certain things that other programs and other conferences are not going to get away with, and it just the track record of the NCAA. They can't hurt their prized possession. And thanks to ESPN and their constant wanting to be on their knees and massaging the SEC with their mouth, we can't have none of that. Heaven forbid that we have Terrell Pryor that sells off his gold pants and his stuff and football equipment to get tattoos and be thrown to the bus, and so is Ohio State. But we're not going to do anything to Cam Newton, and we're not going to do anything to Johnny Manziel, and we're not going to do anything to Peyton Manning, and we're not going to Double A, thanks to the extensive amount of coverage and concern from ESPN. We can't violate that. And here we are with kind of the same scenario with basketball when it comes to the ACC, because we know if this would have been any other conference, and we got players just intentionally tripping other people up and down the court, that hold on, we're going to step in and we're going to do something. But once again, because the NCAA does not want to do anything to tarnish its prize trophy, the ACC, and doesn't want to, when it comes to basketball anyway, and the ACC can't tarnish the only two schools in the conference that's even worth watching, even worth watching when it comes to UNC and Duke. I mean, heaven forbid the ACC do something to prevent the only two teams, anything to do with any of the two teams that are even worth watching, and cause there to be a possibility they don't get to see the tournament, or possibility that they lose games. So heaven forbid that the ACC is going to do anything. And then, of course, ESPN is going to do their job and due diligence and talk about, well, we don't see what they're talking about because ESPN can't tarnish the ACC. That's your ratings. College sports is a funny topic to me. The whole college program, the whole process, honestly, is a big joke and really kind of defeats the whole purpose to why these guys are there, or ladies. I mean, the whole purpose we send the kids to college. The whole purpose that these athletes go to these schools is supposed to give them an opportunity to mature far further. That the NFL and the NBA don't feel that they're grown enough to handle this. And at the right age of 18 years old, they need to spend another year or two in college to finish growing and maturing. But we send these kids, and from the experience I've had doing this for almost 5 years, from the experience I had for bouncing in Chapel Hill, home of the Tar Heels, for 5-7 years, I forget how many years at this point that I did bouncing up in Chapel Hill, to kind of not only be able to be from the outside in, but be in the end. And I've never been a fan of kids going straight from high school sports to professional. I don't think that 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds are developed enough, are mature enough, and are ready. I just don't. And even though we've had a few talented, LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kevin Garnett, those are few far and in between. And I really hate that anytime the conversation gets brought up, that's the names they throw out there real quick, amongst others. But if you do the percentage of athletes that went straight from high school to professional ball, and take the percentage, one, that's even made it, two, that's even had a successful career, those numbers are so distorted and so small that it makes no sense to why any parent would allow their kid to make that mistake. I'm a firm believer that you get an opportunity to go to college. You make the best of that opportunity, because even with college, your percentile of you actually making it in professional ball is still very slim. compared to the hundreds and thousands that tried to make it. You got to figure, even in a yearly NFL draft, you have 7 rounds of 32 picks. You have 210 draftees, not to include the walk-ons, and not to include those that got drafted and never played, or those that got cut, or whatever the case is. And then you multiply times all the sports across the board. Even with college, a very small percentage of those that get drafted actually even make it to a team, or then even, once again, become successful. So I firmly believe it's go to college, get your 4 years of education. That way, if you are not successful, you have something to fall back on, that you have some kind of degree. And that's the way I've always believed, and I still believe that. I still believe if you are talented enough and you put into the work and it is meant for you to be a professional athlete, going to 4 years worth of college is not going to change that. If it was not meant for it to happen, then you'll get hurt or something will happen and you won't make it to the NFL or the NBA or whatever the case may be. But Mr. CJ Sports, what about those that get injured in college? The only difference is most of the time, I'm not the time, but the reality is the odds are if they got hurt in the second year of college, more than likely the chances are that they still would have got hurt. It just would have been a professional level. You can't do the what ifs, because if it's in God's plan for you to be hurt, and if it's in God's plan for you to have a broken bone or a torn ACL or a torn MCL or anything, it's going to happen. Regardless if it happens in the second game of the second year in college or if it happens in the first game of your NBA career, which would have been your second year of college. The difference is, if it happens at college, you got a couple years to, or a year, or whatever the case is, to repair, plus you have a college education to fall back on. The NBA, you got a rookie contract, and if you are done, you are done. And then you have nothing to fall back on. Where the gray area falls in here is college is supposed to be preparing these young adults to be better athletes. And when we allow this type of behavior, watching players intentionally play the game wrong and intentionally play dirty, and because it's a Duke player, we're supposed to look the opposite direction. Or when we have Johnny Manziel breaking the rules, doing what he wants, and because it's an SEC football team, we're supposed to look the opposite direction because it's the SEC. Instead of teaching them there's rules to be followed. And it seems to be a trend. It trends that if you don't teach them in college, and teach them growing up that this is how things are, and prepare them to be a professional in whatever sport they are, they'll end up being your Ryan Leafs of the world. They'll end up being your Johnny Manziels of the world. They'll end up being your Justin Blackmons of the world. Where I believe that athletes need to spend that 4 years to really become the student of the game, to better themselves, to prepare themselves for the future. The NCAA and the whole college scene seems to do more damage. When we got colleges making up dummy classes, that you just pretty much got to show up to a 10 to get a grade, to get an A. for the athletes. How is that showing these college kids how to be responsible, how to be mature? Hey, go sign up for this class. This is what it's called, and basically the teacher just gives you an A because you're an athlete, and all you got to do is just show up to class. That's it. And honestly, if you don't want to show up to class, you really don't even have to show up to class. And the final is an A/B option, one word, one question, and it's no book question as that. It always amuses me to see these colleges that get busted for having these fraudulent classes. Like, at some point, did you not think someone else was going to be upset? None of the non-athletes that don't get to take these dummy classes to help bolster their GPA. Yeah, the rest of them are going there for a purpose, and obviously they got their core classes and the stuff that they need to take. But I'm sure a few of them wouldn't mind to have an easy, dumb class just to help their GPA and have an afternoon to kind of get stuff taken care of during the day. Now, not to mention, I'm still not understanding why we send these athletes to go play college ball, and the rules are not even the same. I don't know if this is some grand scheme, so we don't have the same thing on Saturdays as we do on Sundays, and the same thing we have on weekdays in between the NBA games when it comes to basketball. But to me, it makes no sense to have totally different sets of rules. Why teach kids and young adults that it's all right just to have 1 foot in while playing college football, knowing that when they go to the NFL, they got to know how to have 2 feet in. Or if you let your knee touch the ground, you're automatically down versus need to be down by contact. So now not only is the colleges doing these young adults injustice by pampering them and trying to, I would say, assault their intelligence, but obviously there's no intelligence to insult. Then you teach them how to play the game, not even the correct way, not the way that they need to be prepared. To me, that'd be like wanting to go to your profession to be a CEO of a company, but they want you to take baking classes. I mean, nowhere too close. Yes, you got to show up, and yes, you got to follow directions, but then all the rest of the rules are kind of thrown out, or it makes no sense to me. So here we are. So here we are, and you got media, you got experts, then you got the idiots over at ESPN, and they can't wrap their mind around why we have people such as Johnny Manziel, who's been given an opportunity of a lifetime, first-round draft pick, had a chance to be franchise quarterback of one of the most prized historic teams in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns. And yet they can't understand why somebody like that would screw it up. Never mind that ESPN, you're part of the problem. Never mind because of your contracts and your coverage of the games, the NCAA treads water lightly on who they suspend and who they find in violation of fractions of the NCAA policy, because they can't hurt the ratings for ESPN, because then it disrupts everything. And, of course, the NCAA will not do anything to self-inflict itself. And so even though I believe that all young adults that play college ball should be told to have to go to college for 4 years. You're preparing for a career. If you're going to college to prepare for any true profession, you're at least 4 years. So I'm not quite understanding why it's not treated as such. It makes it harder and harder to have this argument in defense of what's best for the young adults. Well, when saying that they need to go for 4 years, is that, honestly, that is in their best interest. Have a backup plan, and I feel for those college programs that actually do the right thing, that do the stuff by the books, and therefore they spend that money recruiting, spend that time investing in trying to put the best product on the field or the court to turn around and have them decide they're going to leave early. And so, for those colleges that do things right, I honestly do feel bad for them. But there's a lot of time and money that's invested. When I sit here and watch these stories and watch players like Grayson Allen that we watch ESPN try to go to defend what's going on the court. Well, we got the NCAA that's, we're not going to do anything. We're going to continue letting this go. The ACC kind of pointing that finger. Well, now. And then you come to the college itself, Duke University, who's supposed to be this respectful college with Coach K, and things are supposed to be conducted, what we thought was supposed to be conducted in a professional manner and kind of lead by example. And yes, we're more worried about Coach K and an emoji commercial with ESPN than we are worried about why he's not stepping in and disciplining and correcting his players on his team. And when you have all this stuff going on and you see this, and you see some of these college kids ruin their NFL shots or NBA shots or career, then you really start thinking, hold on, maybe forcing these kids to go to college is not the best thing. Maybe it is in their best interest just to go straight from high school. I mean, there's less wear and tear on their body. They're younger, so they got a more shelf life. Teams can mold them into the player they want them to. I'm not delusional. I understand the perks of getting someone straight out of high school. I also know that the negative of it all outweighs the positive tremendously when it comes to the athlete themselves. When it comes to them as a person, you think we got enough of an issue of players getting money and not know how to act, and domestic violence and everything else? You think that's a serious issue? Now you just start letting kids skip the whole college and continue growing and being mature and being around what the professors and being held accountable for. You eliminate all that. You can just let them go buck wild free with millions of dollar contracts. Oh, it's only going to be 100 times worse. I know when I was 18 years old, and I know when I was 21 years old or 22 years old. I know the extreme difference in my maturity level. I also know the extreme difference in my physical level as well. I know that the NCAA, believe it or not, is the go-to sports. If you ask most football fans, NFL or NCAA, they're going to say NCAA. If you ask most basketball fans, NBA or NCAA, they're going to say NCAA. It's a big, chaotic mess that is brewing when it comes to college sports. And unless the NCAA, and even more so, unless these individual colleges don't get a grip on things and have more of accountability and have more discipline when it comes to their athletes, things are going to get worse and worse. And it's going to make it where more people are going to either find loopholes in the system to skip the whole college experience, or they're going to keep pushing to eliminate the one and dones in the 2 years removed from high school for football, and find ways to not put themselves in that whole scheme of things that the NCAA, what it is. Grayson Allen is just another example of things that need to be fixed when it comes to college sports. Let's work on preparing these young adults for a career. Let's prepare these young adults to have success. Let's stop crutches. Let's stop making excuses. Let's stop letting ESPN and their TV contract dictate what the NCAA is going to punish, when they're going to punish, and if they're going to punish. You got to have some kind of law and order, and it can't be dictated around who's on their knees, giving the NCAA a good slobber knocking. You can't dictate it around the money that they're getting from ESPN. The NCAA has got to start putting their foot down, taking back control of itself, and start doing a better job of preparing. When we have nothing but off-the-field issues every single year, that right there lets me know that we are not preparing our athletes to have the best possible success and to be ideal citizens and professionals. Where we're dropping the ball on this. And it just kills me because a lot of people just like to turn their head the opposite way and kind of la-di-da, either because it's my college or my conference. Oh, well, no big deal. The only time you're upset is if it's your arch rival or another conference. And then that other half of that time, they're still not caring because they know that their players are doing the same thing. So they don't want attention drawn to them because they got the same issues going on. Kyle Busch sets the pole today at Atlanta, but then he gets taken away from him with post qualifying inspection. The Busch brothers should have been starting first and second again, but they're not. Kyle Busch beat his brother Kurt Busch for the pole during Friday's qualifying session at Atlanta, but Kyle's car failed inspection after qualifying, and his time was disallowed. Kyle Busch ran a lap of 191.668 miles per hour, while Kurt Busch ran a lap of 191.582. The brothers have started in the front row previously in 2013 and 2009. Jamie Mack, who qualified third while Trevor Bayne was fourth, they move up a spot and does everyone else because of Kyle Busch's failed inspection. 39 cars are entered for Sunday's race, so everyone qualified. The number is one short of the full car, 40-car field in the Cup Series. Many fans were dismayed by the 3-car cut in field size for the 2016, but it's a moot point when moot point when there aren't any cars going home after qualifying. Here's a full list. Joe Logano's last year's pole sitter qualified 27th. First row, obviously, is going to go to Kurt Busch and now Jamie Mack, but Trevor Bayne, fourth, Ryan Newman, fifth, Ricky Stanton. I think it's funny because we got done talking about the move of Stuart Haas going to Ford and talk about how dead the Ford programs have been, and then here we are, fourth, six are Fords, and if you go back a little bit farther in the field, we're going to see some more with Greg Biffle and Keselowski and them. But here we are with Trevor Bayne and Ricky Stenhouse Jr. Putting themselves up there in the top six in qualifying. Harvick 7th, Edwards 8th. Other notables, Matt Kenseth is 14, Dale Jr. 17, Brett Keselowski 18, Ty Dillon filling in for Smoke at 19, Jimmy Johnson 20th, Kyle Larson, who's been fastest at during practice, and I want to say was fastest in the first round, 21st, Brian Blaney, the Wood Brothers car, 24th, Chase Elliott 25th, Danica 26th, Logano 27th. All 39 cars have managed to find themselves in the 40-car field. But yeah, Kyle Busch finds himself at the rear. It was fun watching qualifying. I got an opportunity to watch watch the qualifying. It's always enjoyable to watch the knockout qualifying. You know, it's obviously something that NASCAR did, NASCAR loved, and you know it's great to see the fact that I had a fun time watching this afternoon and just having the opportunity to watch it. It's kind of its race within itself, so it was fun to watch. Trying to see if they had anywhere where blah, 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 they've got the same thing. I was trying to find out if they gave the exact reason why. I know there's a lot of Cleveland Cavalier fans are going to be upset with this because veteran Joe Johnson commits to the Miami Heat. I know LeBron was very vocal and was very expressing of himself, wanting Joe Johnson to join the Cleveland Cavaliers. Joe Johnson has committed to sign with the Miami Heat, league sources told The Vertical. Johnson, 34 years old, had narrowed his teams to the Miami Heat, Cleveland Cavaliers, and Atlanta Hawks after reaching a buyout agreement with the Brooklyn Nets. I don't understand at 34 years old why you would not put yourself on the best team possible to get yourself a championship. Miami, especially with Chris Bosh and still uncertain whether or not he's going to play the rest of this year or not. Atlanta, nowhere close to the caliber as the Cleveland Cavaliers, and you do not pick the Cleveland Cavaliers. I don't get that. He will bolster the Miami backcourt that has lost guards Tyler Johnson and Benito Erdry to season-ending injuries. Johnson is 7-time All-Star, averaged 11.8 points a game, 4.1 assists, 3.9 rebounds in 57 games for the Nets this season. In his 15th NBA season out of Arkansas, Johnson has career averages of 17 points, 4.2 assists, and 4.1 rebounds while playing for Boston, Phoenix, Atlanta, and Brooklyn. He was the number 10 overall pick in the draft. I mean, obviously, you can look at it one of two ways. Either he honestly felt that the Miami Heat has a legit opportunity of making the playoffs, the possibility of, well, not just making the playoffs, but being a contender. I don't see it, nor does anybody else. to me, it comes down to numbers. And if Joe Johnson joins the Cleveland Cavaliers, he is going to be a role player. He is going to come off the bench more than likely. And therefore, the value that Cleveland is going to be willing to give Joe Johnson, I'm sure it's not going to come to the same price tag that the Miami Heat's willing to give up, since Miami Heat needs somebody in their starting rotation, not someone as a role player coming off their bench rotation. And I guess that could kind of sum up a player when you realize that they're in it for the money at this point versus winning a championship, because there's no other reason that you can convince me that Joe Johnson said, you know what, I'm going to pass up a championship to go play for the Miami Heat. And it's not because they're going to give me more money because they need me in their starting rotation and they're going to offer me more or did offer me more. It's because I feel like going to play for the Miami Heat. There's no way. It is not going to happen. Tonight we got some great games. We got 4 games still going on right now. We got 2 games to go on later tonight. We got 2 games that's already finished. Right now we got Orlando in New York. New York is up 102-89 with about 3 minutes left in the fourth. We got Cleveland traveling into red-hot Toronto. Cleveland is up by 9 points with 5 minutes left. Chicago traveling to Atlanta. Atlanta's up with up 73-62 with about 3 minutes left in the third. Denver at Dallas. They are at the half. Denver is up 56-40. Earlier tonight, Charlotte slips past Indiana in Indiana, 96-95. Washington traveling to Philadelphia. Washington wins 103-94. And then, of course, later on tonight, we got the Clippers at Sacramento, and we got Memphis at L.A. for the Lakers. So got some really good games going on right now. We got some really good games going that are going to be starting here in the next about 45 minutes. Rockets, Ty Lawson exploring buyouts. The Houston Rockets and guard Ty Lawson. I remember at the beginning of the season, and what a great pickup, and how having him on the court is going to make the Houston Rockets so much better. And now, that was the piece that was missing to make the Houston Rockets be NBA final material. And never mind that Dwight Howard is the biggest diva in the NBA and is not really going to do anything to break a nail. And heaven forbid you got the biggest flopper to ever play the game, and James Harden does not play defense at all. Never mind those pieces that you need to get rid of. But adding Ty Lawson and all his baggage, that is such a great addition to this Houston Rocket team that we're contenders, and this is how the Houston Rockets are going to be viewed as serious threat contenders to the the San Antonio Spurs and the Golden State Warriors. Please, really? I would love to have those. I would love to have an opportunity to sit down with all those idiotic people that honestly thought adding Ty Lawson to this Houston Rocket team was going to change James Harden and to make him actually play defense and quit flopping around and actually play the game, and was going to give Dwight Howard a Snickers bar so he stops being a diva. I mean, I don't know what y'all thought was going to happen. I would love to have that conversation with those that honestly thought the addition of Ty Lawson was all this Houston Rocket team needed. After an initial unwillingness to part with Lawson's post-NBA trade deadline, the Rockets could use the savings as on a possible buyout to clear salary cap space to acquire other players becoming available through buyouts, league source said. Houston discussed trade deadline deals on Lawson, but was unable to find a suitable trade. Lawson is still owed $3.2 million on his 2015-16 contract. Have already been paid $9.2 million. I am so sorry he got so ripped off. So ripped off. The Rockets are $524,000 under the hard salary cap. For Lawson, the experiment of coexisting with all-star guard James Harden hasn't worked this season. Lawson has carried himself as a professional throughout a difficult season, but simply has been unable to thrive with Harden, who is a ball-dominant scoring guard. Lawson, 28, will likely be attractive to playoff teams searching for guard depth or those out of the postseason race that want to give Lawson a chance to test run for the future. Lawson will need to agree to a buyout and be waived by Tuesday in order to be added to a team's postseason roster. Lawson has averaged 6 points, 3.5 assists, and 22.8 minutes a game for the Rockets. In his 7-year career, Lawson has averaged 13.3 and 6.3. The Rockets may trade with Denver to acquire Lawson in July. They couldn't even make it a year, and you're already wanting to get rid of him. There's a lot of issues in Houston, and obviously, the whole front office has allowed the players on that team to feel that they are larger than life, and it's showing. And until Houston, one, gets rid of one of the two, you can't have two divas such as James Harden and Dwight Howard on the team and expect to have success. You can't. It is feasibly impossible. It just can't be done. You can't have two players that consume the salary space that they consume be on the same roster. You can't have two guys that are not going to play defense. You can't have Dwight Howard. His specialty is standing in there dunking the ball or having short range shots, and then outside of that, he's not really worth anything to you other than rebounds, maybe some shot blocks. No, don't count on a lot of defense. And then the same with James Harden. His asset is just throwing up a bunch of balls and hoping he scores, find himself at the free throw line because he just throws himself to the ground and gets the fouls, and it doesn't play defense. It just doesn't work. There's too much salary cap being used for two players that it really is not even equal on when it comes to other players that are in the same conversation with them. Them two together don't even equal. Those two don't even equal LeBron. They don't equal a Kobe Bryant. They don't equal a John Wall. They don't equal a Steph Curry or a Draymond Green, or they just don't. They're even combined. They're 2/3 of a player at best. And Houston is finding this out the hard way. Because no matter how many pieces you add to it, when your majority of your salary cap is invested into these two bozos, you can't afford to put the pieces that you actually need. You run out of salary cap space. You run out of players willing to even play with this size circus show. We talked about this. You can't throw pieces together. Not every piece works, no matter how talented they are. They don't always fit. You can have, and I don't like using this analogy, because the Golden State Warriors are the defending champions. I don't like using this because they're on a historic run. I don't like using this for a lot of reasons other than the fact that it's 100% true and it fits 100%. The Golden State Warriors are not filled with a bunch of superstars. I don't care what your opinion is of Draymond Green. I don't care what your opinion is of Klay Thompson. I don't care what your opinion of Harrison Barnes is. Andrew Bogut. Honestly, I don't care. The fact of the matter is, Steph Curry is the only superstar on that team. You have an all-star in Draymond Green, and you have an all-star in Klay Thompson. And then you have the role pieces of Harrison Barnes and Andrew Bogut. Neither one of those two are all-star or even great players. They're just good role players. Draymond Green and Klay Thompson, they're not great players. They're not superstars. They're all-star. They're good to all-star players. What makes this team is they didn't acquire and assemble and go out and buy two of the most expensive players they possibly could. They did their research, and they got the pieces that went together. Houston didn't take the time to find out whether or not James Harden and Dwight Howard would work together. They saw an opportunity that we can get two players that other people are going to want. Statistically, throughout the years, they have had good years. Never mind what Dwight Howard did in L.A. Let's go off Orlando's numbers, even though they had to go all through him because it was really not that great of a team. And we're going to hope that James Harden coming off the bench and be able to put productive minutes together in short production that he got, in the short amount of time he got, will turn into full game productions. And never mind if these two pieces can fit together, now we're going to be content. And that's not how it works. They're still not even sure down up in Cleveland that having Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, and LeBron James on the same team is going to work. Those pieces have yet to be seen whether or not they fit perfectly. I mean, with Cleveland once again having issues tonight to win a game. And right now, with a minute left in the game, they're just up by 2 points. We're seeing right now that just because you have, even with Cleveland, the best player in the NBA right now, well, wait a second, but I can't disrespect Steph Curry like that, even though I'm a Cleveland Cavalier fan. Not every piece lines up just because you go out and get expensive players. Like I said, they're still trying to figure out if this threesome in Cleveland. And this is going on the second year of this project. It's not even just, And of course, Houston, they've been a couple years in their project as well. Golden State, San Antonio, they got perfect pieces. They didn't necessarily go out and get the most expensive pieces. Yes, they added LaMarcus Aldridge, a nice, pretty, shiny new toy to play with, but could have gotten more money if he went elsewhere. Didn't take his talent to an organization that was going to pay him more. He went to an organization that he knew there was a really good chance he was going to win a championship. And it also knew that he was going to be the future of that organization as Tim Duncan and Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili is starting to find themselves out. Kawhi Leonard, they didn't, they did their homework and they got the pieces that fitted and drafted and did it right. you can't just go buy a team and expect all the pieces to work. You know, it was funny because when LeBron James returned back to Cleveland, that was one of the biggest things that I talked about when people were still up in the air whether or not LeBron James was going to turn to the Cleveland Cavaliers or if he was going to stay in Miami. And I said, why would he stay in Miami? The Miami Heat went out and bought a bunch of players and then kept rotating in senior citizen players to kind of fill those empty spots from players going on to other teams or retiring or whatever the case may be. You know, your Shane Battiers or your Ray Allens or your Greg Olsons or Greg Olens. They kind of kept your Juwan Howards. They kept adding veteran players. And time Cleveland had Deion Waiters, top 5 draft pick, had Anthony Bennett, number 1 draft pick, Andrew Wiggins, the number 1 draft pick, still had Kyrie Irving, top draft pick. And that was my selling points. Look, you got this young team. You're not just replacing players. You have a team. You mold these players into the team and teach them the way you want your team to run. You're set up. Instead, they trade everybody off. Now you got Jared Smith that's been around the league for a while. And Mon Shumpert been around the league for a while. Kevin Love, who I don't like to say for a while, but he's got quite a few years. Jefferson, been around the league for a while. Shady Fry, been around the league for a while. Now, Cleveland's going to run into an issue. Eventually, Cleveland, you're not going to have a future. Eventually, these players either go on or retire. You have none of those young players. Even Jared Cunningham. I thought honestly they're going to hold on to him to have for their bright future. Now, when it comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers, we're waiting to see if they did their homework and got the pieces that fit together. Not just go get a bunch of pieces, expensive, nice little expensive pieces, and Toronto just went up with Kyle Lowry's three-pointer to go up 100 to 97 with 3.9 seconds left. Not looking good for the Cleveland Cavaliers right now, as Cleveland's just not really been. I don't even want to make excuses because I really don't know what the deal has been with Cleveland, because they are over 50% downtown, going 12 for 23, 15 for 21 doesn't help the case none from the free throw line, but not every player, not every piece works. And Miami, they got lucky because their big three, Chris Bosh, LeBron James, and Dwayne Wade, were able to carry the rest of the team. And so, therefore, it worked because they was able to carry the team. But unless you are loaded with three superstars, it's not going to happen. And Houston, they're finding this out. And you also got to remember those three were committed to making this happen. James Harden and Dwight Howard are not committed to anything. They're only committed to themselves. We've seen the fact that James Harden's not going to play defense. James Harden is going to fall to the ground. Dwight Howard is only so productive on offense, is not going to play a lot of defense. They're not committed. They're one short of a big three, and they're not even committed at that. You got to have commitment. At least going through the playoffs until Kyrie Irving ended up going down, you had those two committed. They were going to do what they had to do, and Kyrie Irving and LeBron James did what they had to do to get to the finals. And it ended up only being a two-pointer for the Toronto Raptors. So with 3.8 seconds left, Cleveland has an opportunity to tie the game or even possibly go up by one. And we're going to keep our eye on that as this unfolds here with 3.3 seconds left at this point. This is one of those times that I wish that I just would have moved back to Ohio so I could be sitting here watching the game versus having to refresh the screen and to see whether or not the Cleveland Cavaliers is able to come out victorious. As if they don't call a foul on Millsap for pulling down the Chicago Bulls player, that would be foul with the Millsap. That would be a really bad issue. That was just horrible. And I apologize for the way that I don't want to change screens and jump into the next thing we're going to talk about without seeing how this game ends up going down. Nonetheless, Kyle Lowry with 43 points right now, regardless how this game plays out. You know, it's amazing in sports how long 3.3 seconds can last. It seems like a lifetime. All I know is I've been sitting here for like 5 minutes waiting for this last 3.3 seconds to go by, and it's still not gone by. Oh, goodness. And LeBron James misses the 26-foot three-pointer from the arc to give Cleveland a loss and put Cleveland only 2 games on top of the Toronto Raptors. My whole thing is why did you have LeBron James shoot your three-pointer when you specifically went out and got Channing Frye because of his three-point capabilities, and when you have J.R. Smith, who was a very good three-point shooter, Dellavedova, who's in the 40s, and he was 2 for 3 today, and you hit LeBron James, who has not been the most consistent or the best three-point shooter for the Cleveland Cavaliers all season long. Blows my mind, but do I know? I'm just a guy that sits here. Guy that just sits here and talks sports on a weeknight basis. Make sure you guys check out the 110 Nation Sports Show Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll tell you what, last night was a great thing. We had the opportunity to, for the first time, merge the Racing with Big Sweat and 110 show. So if you didn't catch that, make sure you guys check that. I had a blast with that last night. Don't forget, we got the Happy Hour Grind Sunday night, 7 p.m. We got the Dirt Talk Hour, 9 p.m. Sunday. And then we got Rubbing His Racing, 7 o'clock on Mondays. And sometime next week, we'll be back on in the morning once we get the move, and I'm able to do that. 9 o'clock Monday through Friday in the morning. Looking forward to that, and we're going to be bringing you 1 or 2 more shows throughout the week. I'm trying to get that together and figure out what I want to do and try to bring something a little bit different than we normally would have on our network. So looking forward to that and very excited about that. I tell you what, it's been crazy because, I want to take a moment to shout out to all those and thank all those, I guess, more. Those that either, A, listen to the show. Well, I'm not going to say A, either listen to the show, but I want to, first of all, thank all that do tune in. One, we grow. It's crazy how much the 110 Nation Sports Radio Network is growing. Two, I want to take a moment because where I work at, I have many walks of life come into where I work. And I'm a manager at a convenience store. And so, I get a very limited time with each of my customers. And so for me to not only have the excellent customer skills that I have and help swoo those customers to be our customers, you got to understand in this town that I live in, it's not even a city, it's a town. There's not much to it. You blink, you go through it. Now, it's expanded a lot since I was first here, but, honestly, you can go from the edge of it when you cross over Fort Bragg all the way through the city in less than, if you had no traffic, you could probably be through town between 3 to 5 minutes. And that's it. And there's no going east to west, north to south, and it making really any difference. If you went east to west, you'd be through the city in 3 to 5 minutes at the widest part, and then going north to south, you could be through it 3 to 5 minutes on the longest part of the city. But in this city, or this town, counting the company just for the company I work for, there's like 6 stores. Not to include the Murphys, not to include the Shells, not to include the Marathons, not to include any other gas station, convenience store that's in our town. And so with it being in town and a lot of the traffic traveling through, because even though we got, a nice population in this town, a lot of the soldiers are just going through town to get into the other county where most of the housing's at. And so to constantly grow because of our customer skills and SWU, we were on the, to be honest with you, we were on the chopping block. They're with the Circle K taking over, it was one of the things that they were looking at, what stores to cut. And they were looking for the stores that were not being productive and not turning a profit. And fortunately for us, we're not on that chopping block anymore because, it was one of those numbers, one of the things that they had been watching. And when they originally bought us almost a year ago, yes, we were on the chopping block because we were not turning a profit. But now we're up 200% in this period, and we're a very profitable store. And I get a very short time to win these customers over to help us continuously growing, to continuously grow in the way we're growing. And to be able to do that, and at the same time be able to constantly talk about the 110 Nation, keeps me being one vocal person. And I want to thank those, because I know who you are, that not only took the time while they were in my store to listen to me, but to go back and actually take the time to listen to the show. To me, it's great that we got the fans that I don't know, and and honestly, those mean a lot more to me. And if I don't know you on a personal basis, if I have never had a conversation with you, if I have no idea that you have ever turned, that I have no idea who you are, that you've tuned into the show, I appreciate you more, even though I don't know who you are out there, than I do my own friends, family, and people I know. And the reason I have more of appreciation for you guys is because you don't know me. You know, the friends that do tune in, or the family that does tune in, they do it because they're family or they're friends, and you're kind of obligated to do it. And I'm not saying everybody does it, and I know a lot of times who shares my stuff. Well, I know every time who shares my stuff, but I know a lot of times who's listening in, who's not listening, and I can get a good idea. With different platforms on, I can say right now, hardly anybody that I know personally goes over to the blog side. I was going through the analytics today. I could tell you that, right now, I on different platforms that, people clear across the United States are tuning in more than people that I know that are in certain cities. And so for you guys to tune in and give us an opportunity to be in your house and give us an opportunity to help grow because you're there listening means a lot more to me than the people that I know on a personal basis, because you're strangers. And, I want to take an opportunity to thank everybody that tunes in, because, I had an opportunity the other day to talk to a what word am I looking for? Wow. Vendor. There we go. And he was asking about the 110 Nation, and it's funny because all the vendors, when they come in, for the most part, they'll ask about it and we'll talk about it. And he was like, I tune in on a regular basis, but he was like, the first time I tuned in though, you were talking about my Detroit Lions, and I didn't like nothing you had to say. It was all true, but I didn't like nothing you had to say. And it's moments like that makes me really appreciate what I got. When I tell the plans and what we're trying to do here. And people talk about, you're going on 5 years. Maybe you should stop investing your time. Maybe you should stop investing your money. Maybe you should do other things. Maybe you should this. Maybe you should do that. And I tell people all the time, even if this is as big as it gets, say it gets no better, I would take this right now, what I got, over not doing it at all. And I know this is going to sound somewhat conceited, but sitting here, I get an opportunity to be heard. I get an opportunity to matter. I get an opportunity to know that people are listening. It doesn't take a PhD to see the stats and realize that there's people out there that they're interested in what you got to say. And that's my moment of the day, where I get to, when I talk to our athletes when they're on the show, and I ask them, almost all of them the same two questions. Middle of the week, get past what happened the week before, not quite ready to get ready for the next weekend. Middle of the week, nothing to do, get an escape for a couple hours, what do you do? And then at the same time, you got an upcoming weekend that's off, you got a bye week, got nothing planned with your team, your organization, whatever the case is, get an opportunity to clock out Friday evening and not be back till Monday morning, what do? Getting to do this 2 hours a night, honestly, that's my opportunity to clear my head. I get to put all the worries of the world behind, regardless if we are in war with somebody, regardless if it's another thing that Obama's managed to screw up and cause this great nation to continue digging itself a hole. It don't matter what it is. I get to block all that out. And I get to sit here for 2 hours a night, or I get to sit in the studio and produce and run the phones on Sunday nights. I get an opportunity to put all of that aside. And so no matter if this is as good as it gets, which I'm sorry, but knowing that we reach a couple 100,000 people a month, pretty cool deal. And so it's more than just if this is as big as it gets, because it's a lot bigger than a lot of people ever get, or a lot bigger than a lot of people thought we was ever going to get. If it gets bigger, great, because I want to provide opportunities for people. I want to be able to be a positive influence and help make it so people get to do what they passionately want to do. But if it doesn't get no bigger than this, and I got to constantly spend hundreds of dollars a month to make this run just so we get this moment every night, you better bet your bottom dollar we're going to continue doing this. But I just want to thank everybody because, I had an opportunity today to kind of play with the numbers and just kind of get an idea. And, on the platforms that we're able to track, we're having the best month that we've had since we've returned in June to the airways. Block site, the quality, and this goes even for the listeners as we continue to grow. The quality of listeners, the quality of readers is continuously growing into a positive direction. Just last month, and I'm going to throw out a few of these numbers, and this kind of, and this is where I want to take an opportunity before we jump into this next topic, kind of talk about the appreciation. Month of January, we averaged our readers 6 seconds per article. And that's all. People were just kind of jumping in, jumping out. Now, a lot of it had to do with we didn't have hardly any articles published in January, and finding writers and keeping writers. That's a whole task that's within itself, and it's been like that for years now. But we went from all the readers we had on the site averaging about 6 seconds to this month we're averaging almost 5 minutes, 4 minutes and 51 seconds so far a reader. Even on a month like December, where we had almost triple the traffic coming through. And I don't like looking at the traffic numbers because it's not a true representation. A prime example, almost triple the amount of readers stop by the blog site. We have some stuff going on that month. 21 seconds on average per reader. A third less, and we're averaging almost 5 minutes. Back in December, triple the traffic, averaging 1.17 page per visit. Now we're about 2.5 pages per visit. And I can continue spitting off numbers all day long. As we all know, I'm a very statistical person. And I spend a lot of my day watching numbers and reading numbers and trying to be on top of what needs to be done to continue growing those numbers. But, about once a week, usually it's the Friday show is, we start to round up the week, and I get an opportunity to kind of appreciate what the week has been like. And, the first couple of days we missed this weekend shows due to technical difficulties. And, there's been one thing after another. And so, that is what it is. But to continue to have the week that we have, even with 2 days of not having shows, this week statistically has been our best week when it comes to the radio. And we were down 2 days. No show, let's see, Friday, Thursday, Wednesday, Tuesday, Monday. 2 shows that didn't have a show Monday or Tuesday. And yet statistically, this week has been our best week. We've had a very, very productive week on the radio. And then, of course, the website, a very, very productive week. It's probably been the best week this month. And I just, I like to take the opportunity to once a week thank. Because, honestly, truly and honestly, without everybody tuning in, chiming in, catching the show, we would not be sitting where we're sitting. And I'll keep doing it because it gives me a couple hours a day to kind of check out. But it makes it so much funner knowing there's people tuning in. Longtime Cleveland big man Anderson Varejao recently signed with the Golden State Warriors after being traded to and subsequently waived by the Portland Trail Blazers at the trade deadline. After 12 years and 2 NBA final appearances with the Cleveland Cavaliers, Varejao now finds himself in an even more inevitable position than playing alongside LeBron James. The Warriors are 51-5, and Varejao has fallen upward, waived by the Blazers and now in the prime position to land his first ring. It's not surprising then that Varejao has done nothing but gush about the Warriors since landing with Golden State. I am glad I came here because I can tell they love each other, Varejao told CSN Bay Area's Monty Poll earlier this week. When you want to win, you have to be like they are. Friends have fun out there, fun in the locker room. Many interpreted Varajao's comments as a thinly veiled shot at Cleveland, though the team made the finals last year. Since LeBron's return from the Miami franchise, he's been unquestionably high drama, recently firing head coach David Blatt and reportedly considering trading Kevin Love at the deadline. On Monday, Golden State's Andrew Bogut made an appearance in Bill Simmons' podcast, during which he told a story about just how happy Varejao had been on his new team. Anderson Varejao, who obviously was picked up by us a couple of days ago, was sitting on the bench in the Atlanta game toward the end of the second quarter, and he looks at me and says, man, this is so different to where I was. You guys move the ball so well. Everyone passes up a good shot to get a great shot. And it kind of hits you that this is normal to us. But for someone from the outside looking in on a different team, it's like, what are these guys doing? How are they doing it? What kind of see it as normal now? Again, it's easy to read into Bogut's anecdote and feel that Varejao, or both are taking shots at Cleveland, considering the Cavs traded Varejao away after 12 seasons. He surely holds some newfound animosity towards the franchise, and Bogut, who played against the Cavaliers in last year's finals, certainly knows a rematch is most likely in store this year too. But more than anything, Bogut's words about Varajao's experience in the Golden State reveals that the umpteenth time that the Warriors are simply in a different stratosphere of basketball. Nobody has seen anything like it, and the players on the team are practically taking for granted what they're doing. That Varejao, arriving from the best team in the Eastern Conference, no less, would gush like this only exemplifies this further. Curious. I am very, very curious. It comes down to Golden State and Cleveland. It comes down to Game 7. one, how confident does Steve Kerr and the Golden State Warriors feel having Anderson Varejao, who was a 12-year veteran over at Cleveland? How much play time does he get, and how confident are you out there? Are you, or even throughout the whole finals period, how confident are you having him out there? And how does Anderson Varejao handle this? Obviously, there's still a lot of love towards Cleveland when it comes to Anderson Varejao, and I'm dying to see if Cleveland gets the win, depending on the outcome of how Anderson Varejao plays, how all this will be interpreted. I would like to assume that Varejao is going to be the most professional of professionals and wouldn't do anything to team that gives him a contract now. Well, it wouldn't cause them a win, but it makes you wonder what would would his loyalty help him or cause him to help the finals? I'm really curious. How deep does loyalty go? And so I'm curious. That was kind of like Zeke, and honestly, I thought that was going to end up happening. They were going to do the whole sign and trade, and like Zeke got dropped, and then Cleveland had the opportunity to re-sign him after so many days. I honestly thought we was going to see the same thing out of Anderson Varejao. And there's a good chance that Golden State saw the same thing coming too and went ahead and blocked that so that Cleveland didn't just only also get Channing Frye, but they would get Anderson Varejao back. But, yeah, that's honestly what I thought was going to happen, and that's what I was honestly waiting to see happen. What was Anderson Varejao ended up back with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and they had added Channing Frye to it and just kind of only lost, really, Jared Cunningham when it was all said and done. But that's not what ended up happening, so now I'm kind of more focused on what's going to happen when we get to the finals, and how much confidence does Steve Kerr have in Anderson Varejao to do the right thing, and where does the loyalty, is there enough bitterness there that Varejao plays at the highest level and helps the Golden State Warriors beat his former team, or does the loyalty to his former franchise outweigh and he cost the Warriors any of the games? I would like to know that. That would be rather that would be very interesting book. Thought this was interesting. Cavaliers' controversial decision to fire David Blatt is starting to look like a genius move. David Blatt may not have deserved to lose his job, but early on it started looking like a smart move by LeBron James and company, as the Cleveland Cavaliers have clearly played better. On the first changes new head coach Tyronn Lue wanted to institute was to have the Cleveland Cavaliers pick up the pace and run more. That can clearly be seen in how many points they are scoring and allowing. Under Blatt, this season, the Cavaliers averaged 101.0 points, and were giving up 95.7 points per game. In the last 14 games under Lue, both those numbers are up. They are now scoring 109.5 points and allowing 100.4. See, I don't know if that's necessarily to me a good thing, because I am a believer now. Now, obviously, they're up 5.3. It went from 5.3 differential to a 9.1 differential. So obviously, that is better. 5.2 to 9.1. But I am a defensive-minded person. I believe offense wins games, defense wins championships. And when you sacrifice 5.2 more, or you sacrifice and give up 5 more points a game, that's quite a bit to me. The Cavs' point differential per game is up. In other words, Cavs are starting to dominate. The increased margin between the Cavs are scoring and what their opponents are scoring has shown an immediate impact in the standings. Under Glad, the Cavs were on pace to go 60-22 over the last 14 games under Lou. The team played like a 64-win team and one that has at least a fighting chance to win a title. I don't know if I like that. I don't. I like the fact that the point differential is up. Don't get me wrong. I like the fact that they're outscoring their opponents on average 9.1 versus the 5.2. But I don't know if I like the Cleveland Cavaliers sacrificing almost 5.3 points more a game to make this happen. If Cleveland scored maybe 4 more points a game and kept their defense and the points they allowed down, then yes, that differential to me would have been greater. If you would have went from scoring 100.4 and allowing 95.7 to going up to, let's make it even numbers, 96 and 105, I would be more impressed, because you didn't give up anything defensively and you picked up things offensively. But instead, what ended up happening is you jumped up 9 points more offensively, because now you're not as concentrated on the defense and you're not shutting down your opponents as well. Prime example, you lost tonight. I don't know that their exact run over the last 14 games is this bit of information was not made, but I could guarantee that over the last 14 games, it has not been that much of an increase in winning percentage, if any increase, to what it was prior to firing David Blatt. And that to me, those two things to me are key. As Cleveland was 41 and 16, and I want to say that they only had, they were 35 and, I want to say, no, they were 35 and 9. What were they? I forget what their record was. They were still the number one team in the East, but I guarantee, as Toronto's now only 2 games out of the top spot, that their winning percentage is not increased. I mean, they're only 6-4 in the last 10 as it is. To me, it would be more of a significant difference. Like I said, if the winning percentage would have went up or at least stayed the same, and your points allowed to not fluctuate, to not go up, or if it did, maybe a point or so, while your offensive production went up, I would be impressed. But like I said, to me, the only thing that looks like it happened is you sacrifice some of your defense to increase your offense. And I'm sorry, but I am a firm believer that where offense will win you games, defenses win you championships. And quite simply, you can't win championships. I'm trying to, maybe I need to, just not letting me pull up the information I was hoping to pull up. Just wasn't. I don't know. I don't know. It's funny to me because the analytics of everything, and it looks good on paper, but yet again, at the same time, it doesn't. And I guess for the sake of the article and the sake of Cleveland fans, yes, this looks good. For the sake of being realistic about it, all I see is a lack of defense and sacrificed for the sake of production in your offense. So that's kind of how it's been interpreted for me. So, I don't know. Craziness. The craziness. See what we got going on here at the 110 Nation Sports. You guys can check it out over at www.the110nationsports.com. Andrew Ladd traded to the Blackhawks by the Jets. We didn't get into that yesterday. The Chicago Blackhawks acquired forward Andrew Ladd in the trade with the Winnipeg Jets on Thursday. Ladd, who won the Stanley Cup with the Blackhawks in 2010, can become an unrestricted agent on July 1st. Winnipeg receives forward Marco Dano and a first-round pick in the 2016 NHL draft, as well as a conditional American Hockey League. Ladd, 30, had been the Jets captain since the 2010-11 season. He has 17 goals and 17 assists in 59 games for the Winnipeg Jets this season. His sixth with the Jets Atlanta Thrashers. He was scratched from the game against the Dallas Stars on Thursday. The Blackhawks host the Nashville Predators. Ladd has 202 goals and 454 points in 750 NHL games with the Jets, Blackhawks, and Carolina Hurricanes. Dano, 21, was acquired by the Blackhawks in a trade with the Columbus Blue Jackets this offseason. He played 13 games for Chicago, scoring 1 goal. He was the number 27th pick in the 2013 NHL draft. Harrison, 33, played in 35 games for the Jets last season. Obviously, the Blackhawks obviously looking to improve. For this season, the Jets working on the future with the future draft pick and a younger player, and also working around salary cap as well. Indians, Abraham Almonte suspended 80 games. God, Cleveland, what's wrong with you? The Office of the Commissioners of Baseball announced today that the Cleveland Indians outfielder Abraham Almonte has received an 80-game suspension without pay after testing positive for boledone, a PhD in violation of MLB's Joint Drug Prevention and Treatment Program. The suspension will be effective at the start of the 2016 regular season. It just seems like a lot of them have been coming up positive this year, a lot more than they should be, and it only being this early into the season, or not even into the season. The guys are just now getting to the camps, and already. Legendary engine builder, crew chiefs, owners, drivers, and the most recognizable voices in motorsports. The talents, eras, and levels may differ, but all share a common thread. They shaped NASCAR on Wednesday. They were recognized as nominees for the highest honor in the sports bestow, enshrinement into NASCAR's Hall of Fame. NASCAR today announced the 20 nominees for the NASCAR Hall of Fame class of 2017, as well as the 5 nominees for the Landmark Award for Outstanding Contributions to NASCAR. Included among the list are 5 first-time nominees, all legends who made excellence a habit through the various contributions to the sport. Among those are record-holding 4-time NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion Ron Hornaday Jr., the man with the most car owner wins in NASCAR National Series history with 322, Jack Roush, former all-time consecutive starts leader Ricky Rudd, legendary motorsports broadcasting pioneer Ken Squire, and three-time Premier Series champion engine builder and three-time Daytona 500 winning crew chief Waddell Wilson. For a full list of nominees, we're gonna shoot through those here. The following are the 20 nominees in induction into NASCAR's Hall of Fame, listed in alphabetical order. Buddy Baker, obviously, is going to get in. It's won 19 times in NASCAR's Premier, now Sprint Cup Series, including the Daytona 500 and Southern 500. We got to talk a little bit about Buddy Baker last night, as Lauren Rainier and family had owned the 28 car back in the day when Buddy Baker, Cal Yarborough, Davey Allison, Bobby Allison, all of them had took partake in that car. Great conversation if you missed last night's show. Red Baron, first NASCAR Premier Series champion in 1949. Richard Childress, 11th time car owner champion in NASCAR's 3 National Series. Ray Abraham, 3-time NASCAR Premier Series champion, crew chief. Ray Fox, legendary engine builder, crew chief, and car owner. Rick Hendrick, 14-time car owner champion in NASCAR's 3 National Series. Ron Hornaday, 4-time NASCAR Camping World Truck Series champion. Harry Hyde, 1970 NASCAR Premier Series champion, crew chief. As Steve Billmeyer, the host for Racing with Big Sweat, obviously worked with Harry Hyde a lot and has a lot of Harry Hyde stories. If you ever get an opportunity to Tuesday and Thursday, you won't regret it. Alan Kawicki, 1992 NASCAR Premier Series champion. Mark Martin, 96-time race winner in NASCAR's National Series competition. Herschel McGriff, 1986 NASCAR West Series champion. Raymond Parks, NASCAR's first champion car owner. Benny Parsons, 1973 NASCAR Premier Series champion. Larry Phillips, only 5-time NASCAR Weekly Series national champion. Jack Rouse, 5-time car owner champion in NASCAR's 3 National Series. Ricky Rudd won 23 times in NASCAR's Premier Series, including the 1997 Brickyard 400. Ken Squire, legendary radio and television broadcaster, inaugural winner, namesake of Squirrel Hall Award of NASCAR's Media Excellence. Mike Shefnick, winner of record-tying 9 NASCAR championships. Waddell Wilson won 3 NASCAR Premier Series championships as an engine builder. Robert Yates won NASCAR Premier Series champion as both an engine builder and owner. The 5 nominees for the Landmark Award listed alphabetically are H. Clay Earls, founder of Martinsville Speedway. Janet Guthrie, first female to compete in NASCAR's Premier Series Super Speedway race. Raymond Parks, NASCAR's first champion car owner. Ralph Seagraves formed groundbreaking Winston NASCAR partnership as executive with R.J. Reynolds Tobacco Company. Ken Squire, legendary radio and television broadcaster, inaugural winner, namesake of Squirrel Hall Award for NASCAR Media Excellence. A lot of great names in NASCAR there, and a lot of memorable names that I've had the opportunity to grow up watching around this sport, and sometimes cheering for and sometimes rooting against, but very impressive class for the 2017 class, and I'm definitely looking forward to see who actually gets into the Hall of Fame, and there's some no-brainers in there, and definitely will be it'd definitely be fun to watch to see who NASCAR accepts into their Hall of Fame, and looking forward to have an opportunity to watch it. And it's always great to see the sport, any sport, recognize those that one way or another improve the sport in a positive way. Commissioner Robert D. Manfred announced today that the Colorado Rockies shortstop Jose Reyes has been placed on paid leave pending completion of the criminal proceeding in Hawaii. Pursuant to Major League Baseball's joint domestic violence, sexual assault, and child abuse policy. Section 3C2 of the policy permits the commissioner to impose a paid suspension pending resolution of the legal proceeding or an investigation. Upon resolution of Reyes' criminal proceeding and the completion of the commissioner's office's investigation into the incident, Commissioner Manfred will make a decision whether to impose a discipline on Reyes. The commissioner's office will have no further comment on this matter until the final deposition is announced. Too much free time. That's the only thing I could ever say about this stuff. There's too much free time in sports. Obviously, and maybe that's why some of the reason why NASCAR doesn't have the issues off the track, such as these other sports have off the field. They don't have the off time. They run 36 weeks with 2 bye weeks in the middle of the season, so they're not really they're not really off. So therefore, it only leaves you 14 weeks, and then you throw in testing, you throw in the fact that Daytona actually starts about a couple weeks before that. So now, what takes you to 38, now you're looking at about 42 to 44. So now you're only looking about 8 weeks at best off, and then you still got stuff going on. Honestly, I think that race car drivers get maybe like 4 weeks of the year off at best. And unlike football, where the season ends in January to February, depending how far you go, and then you really don't have nothing going until mid to late summer when the OTAs practice and all that stuff happens. So you've got a good 4 months easily of nothing going on, and you're still really not even accountable until you get to be about September when preseason starts. So it's crazy, and maybe that's got a lot to do with it. But these sports got to figure out something to kind of consume these athletes' time. Oh well. I think I've consumed enough of everybody's time tonight, and just glad to have the opportunity. And probably more than likely Monday we'll be broadcasting out of the new studio. Hopefully, not quite sure when we'll get everything switched over, moved, and everything else, but that will be the goal. Is Monday to be broadcasting live out of the new studio. So. Keep your guys' ears out for that. Is very excited about the opportunity of relocating once again and seeing how the new studio and the new setup and my newfound time freedom will help us grow here at the 110 Nation. Like I said, should be out on a couple shows, and we'll be giving the blog sites a lot more attention. So don't forget, Monday through Friday, the 110 Nation Sports Show here, 9 p.m. Thursday nights, Racing with Big Sweat, 9 p.m. as well. Sundays, 7 p.m., you got the Happy Hour Garage. At 7 p.m., 9 p.m., we got the Dirt Talk Hour. Monday night, 7 p.m., we got Rubbin' Is Racing. Next week, I can't pinpoint which day that we'll have everything set up. The goal is to move Monday, but it might be Tuesday, Wednesday, or Friday. Who knows when I can see the proper help and the vehicle usage to be able to move the stuff I need to move. But one day next week, we're hoping to be back on the air in the morning for the 110 Nation Morning Show. Don't forget to check out the blog site, www.the110nationsports.com. Check out our company site, www.the110nation.com, for all the latest going on. Going to throw it out there. For those that are listening to the show, you get the first crack at wishing me happy birthday. Tomorrow is officially my birthday. Since I won't be on the air tomorrow, figured I would throw that out there. So I will be, of course, looking for anybody who wants to tweet me at CJ Sports 1 or hit me up on my personal fan page, Mr. CJ Sports, to wish me a happy birthday. And all birthday wishes are greatly appreciated, especially at my age. Plans, for those that want to know what my plans are for tomorrow, I got to be working 5 a.m., and I get off, I want to say 4 o'clock. I've not seen the new schedule. We was waiting for how things were done last night at work to see how the schedule was going to play out. Want to get off, go home, take a shower, pick up the kids, hang out with them, go catch a movie, maybe possibly go get something to eat. Then I'm going to come home and go to bed. That's how I'm going to celebrate my birthday. In all fairness, I got to work at 5 o'clock Sunday morning, so that's kind of part of the deciding factor. Boss lady was going to let me have a short morning, work like 5 to 8, and that way I could go do something, but it's not that first 3 hours that I was really concerned about, even though it would be really rough. It's not the rest of the day, it's the first 3 hours or so, making sure that I get up and make sure that I'm not too drunk to get to work and everything else. And, I decided that it was my best interest to go hang out with the kids and my best interest not to go out and do anything but to go to work. Possibility I will stop in to say hey to those at my former place of employment when it comes to bouncing. Yesterday's Pub and Grill at 98 Armadillo Lane in Sanford, North Carolina. Good possibility I'll drop in there and get a drink after I drop the kids off because they live right around the corner from them. But really no plans. Come home Monday, or Sunday, catch the race, and work on getting things packed up and be able to move Monday. So that's what my birthday plans consist of. Not what I was planning on. The whole plan, the whole movie thing wasn't thrown in my face until Monday, and so that switched up the whole week. But that is what it is, and so if you're out there and you want to help lift my spirits with the weekend being what it is, with 20-something hours of work, packing, and really not doing enough for my birthday, please do. If not, don't forget, Sunday, 7 p.m., happy hour garage, 9 p.m., the Dirt Talk Hour. They got a very, very big show Sunday night. Big time drivers joining us Sunday night, so make sure you guys tune into that. You guys have a great weekend, and we'll be talking to you guys then.
Thanks for listening to the 110 Nation Sports Show with Mr. CJ Sports. You are a part of the 110 Nation, so be sure to visit the110nation.com for everything related to the show. You can follow CJ on Twitter at 110Nation and on Facebook at 110 Nation Sports. Until next time.
This tax refund season, Metro PCS has an offer so good you'll want to shout it from the mountaintops.
Switch to Metro PCS, and get two 4G LTE phones for free.
Switch to Metro PCS and get 2 free 4G LTE smartphones from brands like Samsung and LG. Only at Metro PCS. Limited time offer. Sales tax not included in phone price. After instant rebate. Coverage and services not available everywhere. See store for details and terms and conditions.